Wonderful. Good morning. Thank you for joining us. Um, I am the vice president of She is Lotus. We are the St. Vincent and the Grenadines Association of Endometriosis, Adenomyosis, and PCOS. And for Independence, we are running a feature on Vincentian Women of Prominence. And we are so happy to have you here for this lovely interview. Um, so, yes. Uh, First question, what part of St. Vincent and the Grenadines does your family hail from?
I am from Richland Park, Mesopotamia Valley, St. Vincent and the Grenadines. So you gotta pass Mespo to get up to my place.
Got
But
you,
yeah,
got
that's
you.
where I'm from.
Wonderful. And how has being from St. Vincent and the Grenadines shaped who you are?
It's no secret that St. Vincent is a third world country. And so being from a third world country, a lot of things are a lot harder than, first world countries or whatever the case is, access to resources or access to, just better living in terms of, education and all that stuff. And so, I had to fight for everything growing up in track, in school. And so now in my career that has transferred over. So I have a fighting spirit. If you're from St. Vincent and you make it out to, like me, have a career in track or just, go to school or whatever the case is, you have to be resilient. And that's one of the words I would use to describe myself. And so, I love where I'm from. I appreciate, everything that has made me into the person I am, because without those experiences, I wouldn't be the person I am today or where I am.
Wonderful. I completely understand that. So what has inspired you to become an athlete?
I, I love sports in general. And when I was young, I wanted to do everything. Like my favorite class in school was PE. I don't care what nobody said. Like I always jumped at the opportunity to, go out and play whatever sport it was. At the time, before I got into track, it was netball. That was my first love, still is. But
Mhm.
it doesn't go too well with track. But I my parents to tell you, or people in my community, everywhere I'm going, I'm running. I'm running all the time. If it's from one side of the house, that I was always running. And then I got to high school, and that's where I started taking track seriously. And then my coach at the time, Mr. Michael Oliver, he actually opened my eyes to, the possibilities of being a track athlete. And then but at the same time, I didn't have access to the internet or stuff like that. So yeah, he told me, but at the same time, I really didn't know. And then I got
Mhm.
to St. Kitts and Nevis, where my guardian was Janice Daly and my coach was Lonzo Wilkinson. And so, my track journey progressed from there. And then I think that's when I realized, like, hey, I can really have a career out of this. I mean, even before that, like before I knew of the possibilities when I was young, everybody be like, "What you want to do when you grow up?" I'd be like, "I want to run." That's all I want to do. It still has been my mentality until a few years ago when I started growing up and realized I can't run forever. But I just have a passion for the sport. I love to run. It's just something about when you're running and the calm and, well, not training, but like if I'm running mileage.
Mhm.
But I love to run. Like apart from all the accolades and everything, I just love to run. And I think that's one of the reasons why I have made it as far as I have, because a part of that, you have to love what you do.
Wonderful, wonderful. And which Vincentian women would you say have influenced you the most, whether that's a family member, past athletes, or other prominent women? You don't have to choose just one.
Okay. I think the first person would be my mom. I see how hard she worked to, make sure me and my siblings have, a better life and have opportunities to do the things that she did not get to do. Um, and then after that, my manager, of course, we've been Renita Peters Morris. We've been through a lot the past couple years, and she has stuck beside me from since, we met in 2023, I think. And so, her resilience, because it's not easy when you have someone like me that lacked support when I first started to, see the journey and continue despite all the challenges that are presented to you. Um, two ladies from KFC. That's Shaki, Vera, and Najma.
Mhm.
I just love those ladies. You don't find a lot of ladies in high positions in the country, and
Mhm.
those two ladies have definitely inspired me. Um, Alex Waldron. I just met her a couple months ago, and she has inspired me to just be a better person. I see these ladies and the things that they strive for, and they just motivate me to be a better person and just make it out here. And not just that, but to also be someone that other girls can look at growing up. um the ladies in the netball community. That's my first love scene. I got a shout out to those ladies, the ones I
Mhm.
looked at growing up: Skitty Francis, Vasha Adams, Gayleen Gordon, the Foster sisters and them. And so, it's a lot of people. Definitely, has played a role in, making things better, not just for themselves, but other ladies growing up in St. Vincent and the Grenadines.
Got it, got it, got it. Okay, wonderful. Um, do you feel that there is enough emphasis brought to women's health awareness in St. Vincent and the Grenadines?
Yes and no, but mainly no. The yes part, when it's breast cancer awareness month, they put on activities and stuff, and so, which helps bring awareness, but at the same time, there are so many things that affect women out here that I think we still don't understand or know about. And part of that is just lack of education or lack of access towards, because we're from a small country. It's 100 and something thousand of us, and so you won't find much women with the things that affect us out here, PCOS and all that stuff. But like when you come to a larger country like America, where you have different variety of women going through every possible thing that affects us out here, then a lot of attention is brought to it. But when you're from a smaller country and you don't have that much people that experience these stuff, then it's just like, okay, maybe it's not a serious problem, because like, 5, 10 out of 100 times, like, okay, maybe it's not a serious problem, versus if, a lot of the women experience these stuff, which we don't want them to. But at the same time, I think because we don't see a lot of people experience those things that affect women, or have access to that information, awareness cannot be brought to that. How can you bring awareness to something that you don't know about? So yes and no, and I think that's why I said both ways. It just
Mhm.
got one answer.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. And what do you think could improve this?
um Not just limited to the cases that we see in St. Vincent, but go on the internet and research the other things that could affect women out here, because there are probably women right now struggling with stuff that you know they have no explanation for in St. Vincent. And you probably do some research and you compare the symptoms or whatever the case, and you're like, okay, this seems familiar, maybe she has this. So take the opportunity to educate yourself and go beyond what you have access to. That's the only how you can really make a difference out here. And it's also up to the women. I know Caribbean people, they have this strong thing, like, they're sick and they don't want to go to the doctor to do the natural remedies or whatever the case is. So they're home suffering or whatever the case is. So it's also up to the women, when they feel certain symptoms, to go to the doctor. And you know, don't, because sometimes you go to the doctor and be like, it's just this, it's just that, but based on intuition that something more is wrong. And so not taking no for an answer when you know that it's more than what they're making it out to be. So it goes both ways on the doctors and the people that, to go do research and give themselves more access to things that affect women, and also to the women when they experience these symptoms, whatever they may be, to go to the doctors as well.
Okay. Yes, and from my own experience with my family, I know how that can go. Like they're experiencing something, you're like, Mommy, please go to the doctor. And she's like, No, no, no. I'll just drink some aloe or I'll just drink some bush. And then she doesn't want to go to the doctor. So I know exactly what you mean. Um, so last question. Do you have a message for younger girls watching this today?
It's so much that can be said. I think the first thing to just have confidence and believe in yourself. That's where everything, if you want to make it in life, that's where it has to start. Because if you don't have confidence and you don't believe that you can achieve the things that you set out to achieve for yourself, then might as well not pursue whatever. And so that would be the biggest thing. Use your resources around you. There are a lot of women and people in authority who have been through what you might possibly go through, or that could just give you advice because they've been here on earth a lot longer than you have. My coach always tell me I've been I've been alive longer than you've been on this earth is. So there are a lot of people, adults out here that could just help us, give us wisdom and stuff. um take it easy on the social media. There's a lot of things on social media that can portray something that is not true or not relevant, or doesn't represent how things really are. And it's better to talk to people in your community and around you, and find people that are like-minded. It's important to surround yourself with people who are trying to get where you're trying to get to. It's good to have a community to motivate and support each other and hold each other accountable. If you have a friend and they can't tell you the truth and they always telling you what you want to hear, then that's probably not your friend. But yeah, based on things that I've learned in life, is I tell them those five things most importantly.
That makes a lot of sense. Yes, I completely agree. Be careful who you befriend, be careful what you see online, and don't believe everything you see. Um, Thank you so much for joining us today. We really appreciate that. Um, so excited to be celebrating our 46th anniversary of independence this year with you. Thank you, thank you, thank you again for spending the morning with us,
No,
and we'll see you soon. Thank
no
you.
problem. Thank you for having me. I appreciate it. Bye bye.